So I was diagnosed when I was 14 with Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2. I didn't experience any symptoms, so I waited a while to go to the doctor. It was stage 1, and then 2 weeks later it was stage 2. And treatment lasted about 3 months, and then I did a month of radiation after that. Well, as a 14-year-old, I just graduated elementary school. I went into high school, so I was in grade 9, and it was a totally different experience, a new environment, new friends, new people. And here I was with cancer. So for me, it was difficult to navigate the whole system. And coming from the South Asian community, we rarely talk about cancer. So I couldn't talk about it at home. I couldn't talk about it with my friends who couldn't relate to me. So it was a very isolating experience. There are overarching support groups, but it didn't necessarily meet my needs. Because as a kid, you have different needs. The hospital made me realize the lack of, I want to say, cultural sensitivity. The information material that patients and survivors are given, and again, it's from a white Eurocentric perspective. It talks about diet and lifestyle and how to remain healthy during and after treatment. And I was in the room with my mom, and we're looking at the materials, and they're talking about foods that should be eaten and not eaten, and Indian, South Asian food was not represented in there. So my mom was like, what are we supposed to eat at home? Like, our food isn't on here. So I found that really interesting. I just wanted to fit in at school, so I decided to go and get a wig before my hair actually fell off. So I entered the wig store, and turns out they didn't have any darker color hair wigs or different textures, and like my hair is curly, they had brown and blonde straight hair wigs. So I was not forced, but there weren't that many options. So in essence, I was kind of forced to get a wig that didn't match my hair at all. And in the process of trying to fit in, I was othered in that way, where I tried so hard to be accepted into a peer group. And in my school, I was in grade 9, I was fresh out of elementary school, but here I was one day with black curly hair and the other day with brown straight hair. Yeah, it was reddish brown straight hair. I still have the wig. I did experience a lot of stigma, especially from the South Asian community, and cancer is something that we don't necessarily talk about. So here I was with cancer. I'm trying to understand it myself, and for me to understand it, I need to say it out loud. But in a house that doesn't discuss it, my experience wasn't validated or wasn't heard. And even in the healthcare community, when I went to doctor's visits and things like that, they would talk to my mom or my dad as opposed to me. In trying to understand my experience, I was being denied the opportunity to be heard and not given the space to be heard. And the advice I would give to someone else experiencing it, I wrote everything down in journals. I still have the blogs. I still have the journal post that I wrote 10 years ago, and that was part of the research that I looked at when writing my thesis. Even if you can't share it with other people because it makes them uncomfortable, if you're comfortable talking about it, I would talk about it, or have someone that you can talk about it with, even if it's not your family, or just write about it. I find that very therapeutic and cathartic, and when you reread it, especially after 10 years, it takes you back to the moment where you actually sat down to write it, and you understand your story in a different way. But I found that just having an outlet, whether it's talking, writing, art, is a great way to express these emotions, and you don't have to bottle it in. I entered school right out of high school, and I wanted to be that person just to make a difference in one person's life. I didn't want to change the whole system. It was just to affect one person's life in whatever way that I could, and that's why I chose to do social work, and I enjoy it. And my research is about what it means to be a young adult cancer survivor and just a survivor in general. A lot of the research has been done by the medical community, and it's mostly from the white Eurocentric perspective, whereas my experience isn't that. It comes from a racialized culture and gendered lens. So I talk about the stigma and the shame that's associated with having cancer and being a cancer survivor. It's important to have the psychosocial supports available. We are a unique population. We face different needs and different struggles that the medical community has just starting to realize. There is isolation and lack of support. So my research focuses on the illness narratives and providing the space for survivors and patients to share their experiences for the larger healthcare and medical community to understand. Sometimes they think that they know what's best for us, but they really don't. So it's just listening to us and seeing what we need as opposed to what they think that we need.